Good morning, world. This is the Country Boy Show with your host, Steve Allen. I will be your host for the next who knows how long. I'll be bringing you inspirational and success real life stories, motivational, educational, and lots of other fun and interesting things you can apply to your life. You may not want to apply it to your life. This is your choice. Isn't it great living in a nation we have the right to choose? Each of your lives are so different from someone else's. Isn't being an individual superb? The Country Boy Show is being broadcast from our studio in Vancouver, Washington, USA. This is a subsidiary of Sundog Film Productions that has produced numerous short films and one series that aired on national TV. Check out our site, Sundog Film Productions, where you will find links to our various multimedia channels. Visit our blog, profileofwinners.com, on WordPress, and leave us a comment. Please don't be too harsh on me. I am not perfect yet, but just working to get there. I want to welcome you all today. We love success and hope all of you that come in contact with the Country Boy Show will get a tingling in your toes to get you off the couch and put aside all those negatives that you have locked inside you. We want you to be successful. Then we know we are successful. Success is contagious. Once you have the tingling in your toes, you will want to share it. Let's get started by playing some toe-tingling music. We want to get the tingling started by passing along stories of success, and along with success comes stories of failure. No one can learn to swim by looking out the window at the water. You have to jump in. You may sink a few times, but that is the learning process. We all have sunk a few times, and we'll sink a few more times, but the difference is we are willing to fight for air rather than give up. You look so bad when you drowned. Getting started, I like to address where the title and theme of The Country Boy Show came from. The country boy, me, I grew up in a small Idaho farming community. I started working on the farm nearly as soon as I was able to walk, or even maybe when I was crawling. I loved the dirt. I even ate my fair share. Delighted in planting the seeds and watching them grow. It took lots of work. In my part of the world, we had very little rain and lots of snow, so I basically lived in a desert. Without irrigation, nothing would grow. I would prepare the soil by going around and around, day and night, dreaming of the vast oceans and other places I figured I would never see. I would calculate how many miles I had driven on my tractor while pulling a plow or a disc round the field, and think of where those miles would have led me. For relaxation, I should say the collapse time, after a hard day of work, I would lay on the living room floor and listen to my father's vinyl 78 records. Do you remember the 78s? How about the 45s? Marty Robbins would sing his heart out. When I was back on the tractor, that's exactly what I would do. I'd sing my heart out. In the old days, we had no radios or even cabs on our tractors, so we had total open air, whether it was cold or whether it was hot. We had no shade or no heater, just good old fresh, dusty air and the great outdoors. Those were good old days. I wish so many others could have enjoyed those days. I will talk more about the good old days as I go along, but I have other things I want to start with right now. I was going to start this episode out with the subject of success that the Country Boy Show is all about. But after last night, I decided to add some comments about a game I attended. The Winterhawks of Portland, Oregon, and the Seattle Thunderbirds from Seattle, Washington. Got to wet my whistle there a little bit. This was a great game, even though the Winterhawks lost. Hockey is always fun to watch. Lots of action. The Winterhawks is a junior league in the Western Conference. They took the conference championship in 2011, 12, 13, and 14. I wonder if they're going to do it in 15. We're going to have to wait and see. Each player has a dream of being spotted by a talent scout and being chosen for the National League. They play their hearts out, which makes these games a lot of fun. This country boy works as a guest attendant at the games. You need to check out episode 4, as I'm going to talk to you about my social life and how I became a guest attendant at the Moda Center. Okay, we're going to get back to these amazing kids. These kids are 16 to 20-year-olds, come from all parts of the world to Portland, Oregon in hopes of playing for the Winterhawks. It's because of their success record that they want to come. The talent scouts are looking at the Winterhawks. Some succeed and some end up going home. They eat and dream hockey. They have done this since they were old enough to put on the skates. They had a dream and worked for that dream. They leave their families for 10 months of the year living with foster families. They have rules and regulations to follow to stay on the team. If they make it, not just on the ice, but in their personal life, they have to maintain good grades and stay in high school or college, depending on their age. I was going to leave this right here for now, as I will make an episode about this all by itself. It will be a very interesting. I've got some interviews with some of the players, and this is going to be a very interesting episode. What drives these kids to be successful? Teamwork, winning, goals, and personal satisfaction. I will be attending many Winterhawk games this season and keep you updated as they progress. At the time of this launch, one young man, age 20, was cut from the team. I was notified just the night by his foster dad as he was packing his car and headed back to Canada from where he came from. I had a interview scheduled with him, and now we're going to have to go to Canada to get that interview, but it's well worth it. He's been in hockey since he left home, his dad said, since he was 14 years old, and he's now 20. He was pretty depressed when he pulled away, but anyway, we're going to get that interview from him. Do you want to be successful? I hope you said yes. Success comes in many forms. Poor Richard says, "And he that riseth late must trot all day, and shall scarce ever take his business at night, while laziness travels so slowly that poverty soon overtakes him." So what is success? Success can have a different meaning to nearly every one of you, but one thing is for sure, that you will never succeed in life merely by keeping the couch warm. Success to one can be money or a hot car. To another is a happy family. To another it could be a humble abode. We're all living inside are happy and God-fearing. To another it would be peace of soul. We all have a different meaning of success, and all over the next many months we will talk about many types of success and what each do to achieve it. So lock us in your device from one of the following sources. I will be posting those right now. I'll be broadcasting in video and also just audio, so you can take us along as you creep along in rush hour or watch us at your convenience on one of the following. Please go to sundogfilmproductions.com and you'll find the many ways you can stay in contact with us. Fiddling with this tool. This is quite the tool. I could saw a tree down here with it. No, pretty sharp. Definitely would cut you. Pretty sharp knife there. Now if I can close that one up without cutting my finger off. Maybe I have to work on that a little more. Anyway, let's get back. We love me email, so please contact us at mysuccess@sundogfilmproductions.com. Now go to mysuccess@sundogfilmproductions.com right now, unless you're driving. We can wait. We do not like crashes, and we want you to be successful. And I have never seen a car crash that was successful. I have seen a few in my days, and they are not pretty. Poor Richard says, "'Tis hard for an empty bag to stand upright." What has this got to do with a car crash? Nothing. This thought made me think. A bag needs content. So we're going to fill that bag. So what is success? Success may be wealth, property, automobiles, prestige, giving, inner peace, outward success, success in one's family, success in a project, and many, many more meanings. There are various levels of success. Each individual is different. Success could be your hot body on a magazine cover, or in a movie, or it could be a humble home with a leaky roof. You may choose to sit on the sidelines or engage in the game. All success involves others in your plan. But to be successful, one must have a plan. The plan needs to have the following: faith in deity, freedom of our nation, faith in oneself, confidence, ambition, knowledge, be teachable, a desire, love for others, love for yourself, and be capable of getting back up when you fall down. To each view, no matter what your fears or uncertainties, I say, never sell yourself short. You live in a world where good and evil share the same stage, but the Lord tells the faithful, nothing shall be impossible unto you. Check that one out in Matthew 17 and 20. Man should be free to govern themselves, not on someone else's expectations, but on his or her individual expectations. We have the right to make our own decisions after study, prayer, and then action. It is not some institution, governing body, person, or organization that have the right to dictate how an individual should live their life or worship. The Constitution and Bill of Rights gives American citizens the rights of my many freedoms that no other country on earth has. America is a promised land and has been kept from the world for centuries. One choice people had the privilege of inhabiting the American continent until they fell away from the Creator's direction. They chose to follow after their own human ways. Only a small remnant to a great nation existed when Columbus founded what is now known as North and South American continents. No nation has ever been successful by leaving deity out of their plans. Many have tried and failed. Deity is kind of like a partner. Remember, the first step in the equation of success is faith in deity. I have found in my life an evening and a morning prayer does not hurt. I need all the help I can get. I need to stop here and reminisce a little. When I was about 17, I bought a new 350 Honda. Okay, that was not very big compared to today's bikes, but it still could reach cruise speeds of 80 miles an hour, and that is just fast enough for all those bugs hitting you in the face. Remember the movie Easy Rider, Born to be Wild? And the soundtrack for Easy Rider, it aired in 1969, performed by Steppenwolf. Get your motor running, Head out on the highway, looking for adventure on whatever comes our way. Okay, I was never a singer, and I never professed to be a singer. So anyway, maybe Easy Rider influenced me some, but mostly I just wanted to be me. I grew my hair down to my shoulders. As the older generation said, I would be a failure with long hair. I wore dark glasses and started my first mustache. I had that mustache until I was about, I would say, 50, 55 years old. No, I was not rebellious. I listened to my parents and most of the time went to church regularly. I went to college, being one of the very few with long hair, and I carried my books in my worn-out Boy Scout backpack instead of a briefcase that so many carried their books in those days. I'm really telling my age when I say I used a slide rule instead of a calculator. So, some of you are probably asking, what is a slide rule? I will talk about the success of man in the advancement of a slide rule to a computer in another episode. I lived through that time. Calculators had never came into being until in my senior year at college. I got word one day that there's calculators in the bookstore. I had to check one out for myself. I remember they were around $35. They're the same type of calculator you can buy today, the little handhelds, for about 10 bucks. So anyway, we have come a long ways in my lifetime. I never engaged in drinking or parties. Drugs were never heard of, or at least I hadn't. I had friends that drank, but they all knew that when they bought a case of beer, Steve would leave. I just knew who I was and what I stood for, and no one would change my convictions. My Honda was really cool after I built a new lowrider high-back chopper-style seat with lights on the back. Ran chrome dual exhaust pipes up the back of the seat. Put on some high-rise handlebars my brother got from some kid's bicycle. Never did break. And removed the front fender and painted the gas tank fluorescent orange. Wow! My dad was not really mad, but just couldn't understand why anyone do such a thing to a perfectly good new bike. My answer? Because it looked cool. Back in the 60s, okay, I'm reading my age again here, helmets were not required by law. I always believed in being safe, and I will add I feel the world has gone a little overboard on safety these days. But nevertheless, I did own a helmet and would wear it sometimes. I got to wet my whistle again here. One afternoon, I just felt like taking a run to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Okay, some of you probably hear the name Jackson today. Somebody decided they had to take the hole off the word Jackson Hole. I don't understand why, because Jackson Hole, as I'm going to call it, actually sits down in a bowl with mountains all the way around it. It is kind of like a hole there. But we're going to get back to the story here. I always said it would take 2 hours in my car, one way, an hour and a half on a fast bike. Yes, I bought my own car while I was in high school. I worked hard for it. It was one of those fastback Barracudas, white with red racing stripes. Very cool. This particular day, it was a fast 3-hour ride round trip on my bike. The next mornings, my brother took the bike and headed down the road to move sprinklers at one of the parcels of land on our farm. The bike's back wheel just stopped, leaving him with a bumpy stop. He came walking back to the house, and as he came walking back and he told his story to me, cold chills went down my spine. A few days later, I opened up the gearbox, and two gears had not meshed as they were supposed to, and the metal in one gear had twisted. More cold chills went up my spine as I stared at the gears. Less than 24 hours ago, I had ridden this bike for 3 hours with speeds up to 80 miles an hour. I gave a silent prayer. But what has this got to do with success? I had belief in myself enough to make that run against my father's advice. I kind of snuck off to do it. My father really didn't want us to go very far on a bike. He had had a crash when he was young. He owned an Indian bike. I might just try to find a picture of one and post it. They were quite the bikes. Anyway, the Indian was the name of the bike, so we don't have to worry about political incorrectness on it these days. He tipped it over on a gravel road and he got skinned up pretty bad. He really was only thinking of my safety and not trying to hinder my growth. I really respect my dad. He always looked out for us. He taught me how to work. He let me make many decisions on my own. In fact, in the later years, I made lots of decisions on my own. He even left the farm just 2 years before he passed away from a major heart attack. Him and Mom, we had a bunch of range cattle along with the farm ground, raised potatoes, hay, and grain. And him and Mom had a camp trailer and they went out on the range. And he'd ride his horse and spend the summers on the range watching the cattle while myself and my brother took care of the farm. So he left a lot of responsibility on us. Ralph Waldo Emerson once described Americans as parlor soldiers. We pray for peace, prosperity, and comfort. We like to dine nicely and sleep warm, but we shun the vigorous battle of life where strength is born. There are many disadvantages to having too many advantages. Oscar Wilde once said that if God wished to punish us, all he would need to do would be to answer our prayers. If all of our prayers were answered, then no one would ever be sick and no one would ever die. We would always get our own way. We would have no problems and we would have no strength. Success is very similar to the Winterhawks' first season games. They lost. Many times we will not succeed the first time. We need practice. They'd got a new coach. They had a bunch of new players. And some of the old players was at a tournament of some sort in Canada. So the first 5 games they lost this year. We may lose money and feel we are wasting time. Others may criticize you for your waste of time or money, but only you have the dream. You can try to share the dream, but the dream is only yours and a video camera in your head has not been invented yet. We need to work together. We need someone that will trust us even though they can't see the dream. No man has made it on his own. The theme song when I graduated from high school had words in it of climb every mountain, swim every sea. Some mountains are very high and the sea is cold and lonely. To succeed, we need to climb our own mountains and swim our own seas. We may encounter sharks or even slide back down a slope. We may even lose friends that prove not to be so friendly. We have to focus and never lose track of our dreams. Have you ever heard the phrase, strength of a tree? Well, maybe not, since I just created it. Living in the rain of the Pacific Northwest and prior the desert of eastern Idaho, I have learned some interesting things. In Idaho, a tree would take years to grow a few feet. Their roots would reach deep into the earth in search of water. In a wind, the tree would lean and sway, but the roots held firm. I remember out in Wyoming, which I went by many times, there was a tree out there that grew up right between the eastbound and westbound interstates. The tree grew up between two humongous rocks. I watched over the years as I traveled that route. The tree grew taller and taller. It had some branches and some leaves. But that tree started leaning a little. The winds blew very hard up there on Elk Mountain. No, this was on Sherman, just off of Elk Mountain. I had my mountains mixed up here. It was off of Sherman. Maybe some of you have seen it right up there near the top. But that tree had leaned, and it had actually deformed in that lean because of the winds constantly year-round blew that tree. But that tree was alive, and it stayed alive. It had planted its roots deep, well below those rocks where the water could reach, and it became very strong. In the Northwest, we have lots of rain. The trees grow many feet per year. They have no wants for water. Their roots are shallow. Some roots lay on top of the soil that makes them weak with small feeders just under the surface. In a wind, these trees fall. Success is no different. There are different degrees of success, and those that think they have achieved success but have not planted their roots deep within the earth will soon fail. Plant your roots deep and hold on. You are in control of your life. So do something today to make your life better for tomorrow. Please check out our sponsors. You know these pesky breaks in a good movie that you speed through? Sponsors are your friends. They are your neighbors. They have built their business for you. Without you, they do not exist. And without them, you have no place to spend your money for good things of life like pumpkin pie and marshmallows. Our sponsors we support and buy from ourselves. They support us, and so we can support you, kind of like one big circle. We'll be talking about that dollar bill in one of our next episodes. We talk about how our government gets involved in our lives. Anyway, we're not going to get into politics. We're just going to teach some facts that exist and how those facts affect each of our lives and each of our success. So, until we meet again, like poor Richard says, they that won't be counseled can't be helped. Be sure to check out our website at sundogfilmproductions.com, and please mail us at mysuccess@sundogfilmproductions.com so we can respond and get to know you a little better. I would like to email a bunch of you back. I'm not promising I'm going to cover all of you, but I want to get to know some of you. So all of you if it's possible, but I know that's not possible. Also, check out our podcast on iTunes, Running with the Country Boy and Friends. Tell us how you like it. The Country Boy, this one, I do this every morning. As I run, I tell stories. I have no script. I do no pre-thought of a subject. I wire my recorder to me, put a wireless mic on me, walk out the door. In a few minutes, a subject comes to me, and for the next 30 minutes, we talk. I should say I talk, not whole many people around, except a few cars that pass me in the morning. But anyway, I'll talk about my running. It's been quite an interesting feat for me, where I really not even supposed to be walking. I have lost 20 pounds in the last, I think it's around 3 months. I've lost around 20 pounds. So anyway, feeling really good. So let's get in shape together. Come and join me as we run 3 and 4 miles. We can listen to each other. I want you to get back to me, and I'll play some of your stuff along the way. This is reality at its best. You will have to listen over my heavy breathing. You know, it takes a lot of air to run a 3-miler and talk at the same time. But come and join me. This is the Country Boy signing off. Have a great day and see you tomorrow.